The landscape of automotive YouTube has definitely shifted towards exotics over the last few years, but I bought this, a 1992 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme International Series. Now, I get why a lot of YouTubers have done this. Exotics typically get a lot of views, but I don't care. I buy what I genuinely think is cool, and I think this $3,000 car with its 5-speed manual transmission, the first ever heads-up display, and its dual bass control, one there and one all the way over here. And we can't forget about the amazing back seat. I think all of this stuff makes it just as cool as an exotic, and one could argue even more interesting. But there is one exotic thing about this car, and it's not the best part. And that would be the dual overhead cam V6 engine. This was almost kind of like an experimental engine for GM, way ahead of its time, but they did some weird exotic stuff, like it having a timing chain and timing belt that was notoriously unreliable. If this belt goes, it is interference and will completely destroy the engine, so I'm dying to see what's inside, and we're getting right to wrenching, because that's what we do on this channel, we wrench. So there's a little cover right here. All right, let's see this belt, let's see what we got, let's see what we got. Oh no, whoa, what is this? That is not good. That's not good at all. Well, all right, guys, I think I may have caught this right in time. This is interference, and then the later version of the 3400, they made non-interference, and I think this timing belt is due like every 30 to 50,000 miles, so pretty early. So GM probably learned that some of these were gonna let loose, and maybe to save their customers, I don't know, they went non-interference, and then they just discontinued the whole motor. But it makes a lot of power. It's a great motor. It revs really quickly. It just, yeah, we're gonna find out what this timing chain thing looks like in here too. But no room at all, of course, but I think we gotta start with taking this engine coolant tank out because it's in the way of everything. All right, so the coolant tank's easy. Just have a 10 here and one nut that you can take out by hand over here, and it just pulls up and kind of out of the way. There we go, lots of coolant in there. All right, here's our engine computer, which, I don't know, we might take that out. I think we're gonna take this out. We're gonna need all the room we can get. I mean, look at this. That's not good. Okay, literally dropped the 10. It's gone. I'm just gonna buy a new one. I'll never find that. I just got underneath the car. I looked everywhere. The 10 mil is literally gone. One day we'll find it. But anyway, let's get this out of the way. And yeah, we got a lot of harness stuff going on here. We're gonna have to replace the serpentine belt anyway, and it's gotta come out. So we'll push down on the tensioner, and then we can pull this off of the power steering pump, release the tension, and we can pull this thing out. Gosh, that was easy. If only the timing belt was that easy. But yeah, this thing is shot. Yeah, if your belt looks like that, definitely replace it. I disconnected a main section of engine harness just to get it out of the way. We have this vacuum line out of the way. You know what? I don't know how bad this will be. Probably jinxing myself, it's gonna be bad, but this timing cover is actually quite small, and it doesn't look like much needs to come out for us to remove this. It's just a bunch of 8s. All right, this cover right here looks like a pain in the butt. I just got the 8s out. Okay, there we go. We can kind of sneak it out. Power steering lines are in the way. We could disconnect those, but let's just see what we can do without making a mess. Get out. I do have to be gentle too. I'll never find any of these parts, like these covers. Okay, cool. Oh, this one looks pretty good, but yeah, this is some rare stuff right here. These things, they're like adamantium. All right, but this side looks, I was gonna say it looks better, but not really. Is this belt or is this cover? Look at this stuff. It's so fluffy too. It's so nice. I wanna like fill a dumpster with this and just jump into it. Yeah, I don't think it's the cover. Like the cover's not grooved at all. I was thinking it was grinded in there. No, this is totally flat. And so is this really bad one. That has gotta just be all belt. I think I have all the 8 mils out. This thing is getting loose. Do I have to take this pulley out? Maybe. I might have to take the pulley out, I'm not sure. I think I have to take off this belt tensioner, so I'm gonna loosen up the pulley. Actually, I might just get away with taking the pulley off, but I'm going to replace the tensioner anyway while we're in there. So look at our shiny new alternator. The previous owner did that. All right, okay, that's gone too. Nothing's hitting the ground. It's probably resting next to the 10 mil. They're friends now. Now will this come off? Oh, look at that, yeah, it's tucked in there. Now it should come off. Yay, look at that, that was actually really easy. Oh, that is cool. October 18th, 1981. Any October 18th birthdays out there? Any 1991 birthdays? This is sweet and it's in perfect condition. That's awesome. Can you imagine if that sticker was in good shape? This is so cool. I love this kind of stuff. All right, guys, here's our first look at the insanity of this dual overhead cam 3.4 liter. And we got a lot more of this fluff right here. This is beautiful. I don't know why I love this fluff. I just want to save it. It's just so fluffy. If you guys are curious, GM calls this engine the LQ1. I don't think there was ever an LQ2. I think they just stopped. They stopped at the 1 and then they went to LQ4, LQ9, you know, for the big V8 iron blocks in the trucks. I think while we're in there, we're gonna replace the water pump. This is the pulley for it. Oh my gosh. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Got ya, gotcha. All right, I didn't drop the other two. Let's see what happens. Oh, yes, yes. You go in the tin. There we go. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's it. So the water pump just is held in with these little bolts here. There seems to be a ancient paper gasket there. That's probably a good thing to replace. I just pulled the radiator cap and we're draining our coolant. Wow, that coolant looks fantastic. You gotta love the old school green coolant. It just simply worked, and then they went to Dex Cool and that turned into a nightmare. Why didn't they just keep the green stuff? Was it like not environmentally friendly or something? I don't know. So we'll wait for that to fully drain before we touch this water pump. We got a bunch of while we're in there's to do, you know, while we're in there. And one of them is removing this intake manifold. There is a fake distributor gasket. The block could have had a distributor, I guess, on some of the older cars, but this one doesn't. It has coil packs, but there's still a seal that goes bad for that distributor. It's very common. It's right underneath the throttle body. So we're gonna take this whole thing off for that, and because I want to check out the injectors. I wanna flow them and see what's going on with the injectors. We gotta get valve covers off. There's just, yeah, there's lots of reasons to do that. Oh, there's some cool writing in here too. What is that? Huh, we have some Sharpie writings here, 7G? I don't know what that means. And then there's a 7 here. Weird. I just removed the 2 bolts for the airbox and loosened up this clamp. We're gonna remove that too because we are gonna be converting this car from R12 AC refrigerant to R134. That's another, while we're in there and the ports are they're buried like everything on this. We're doing so much in this one video. I'm so excited. This car's gonna be great. Hang on, you guys know I'm always looking for cars online, and look at this one. It's an 89 Olds Cutlass Supreme. This is at an auction, and hang on. It has a digital dash. This car's at an auction. You need a dealer license to buy most auction cars unless you're a member with Auto Bidmaster. So with Auto Bidmaster, you just search for whatever car you want and it'll search all of the major auctions. So you don't have to go site to site searching. And you'd be surprised, some of these have clean titles and buy it now prices. Here's another Hellcat, buy it now for 21. But if you don't think that's a good deal because this thing does need a little bit of work, you can simply bid and try and get it lower. Oh, look at this, my X6 is on here. I sent it to Copart, clean title, and you could bid on my actual X6. Its starting bid is only 300 bucks. So please don't only pay me 300 bucks for this car. It's beautiful. So before I bought legit street quarters and then got my dealership license, because in most states you need a physical location, it costs thousands of dollars. It took me a year and a half to get the license. Before that, I was like many of you guys who wanted to buy auction cars, but I couldn't until I found Auto Bidmaster. So I've used this. I've bought some cars with it, like my old Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it's phenomenal. They've been around for 15 years. They have people that speak many different languages. You can get international shipping as well, and they have 4 different membership plans to suit everybody's budget. And they're having the Auto Bidmaster Rebuild Challenge, where you guys can win prizes up to a couple of thousands of dollars and a free membership. I'll leave all the information down below, but if you have before and after pictures of a car that you rebuilt, you can win. So I'll leave that link down below and my own custom link down below from Auto Bidmaster, where you can use coupon code LegitStreetCars and save $50. So check it out and buy yourself a cool auction project. All right, vacuum line. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Let's get this throttle bracket out of the way. Whoa, that's a long one. Okay, the other one is on the bottom. Never mind. Put this to the side because I do think it holds in the intake, but the other one's way on the bottom, so we're not gonna mess with that. All we really need to do is just remove the throttle cable, and you can do this with one hand. I know it because I'm holding that camera right now. There we go. I wanna get rid of this tank too. It's just in the way and it's full, and I'm draining it into the radiator, which is draining down below, and then I could turn it off by pinching the line. That's pretty cool. So we'll keep it like that, and it comes out down here. All right, this is coming out of the way. Guys, do you see anything weird here? You see anything weird? Look, that's a throttle blade. That's your throttle body. It is literally part of the intake manifold. You can't bolt it off. You can't replace that separately. What in the world? This is another one of those GM experiments that I don't think ever went into production after this engine. That's weird. This, which I think is a repair from somebody, is weird too. It's like they had a vacuum leak here, so they took like a piece of plastic, filled it with glue, and put zip ties around it. It works. We don't have any vacuum leaks, but you know we're gonna like fix this properly. Oh my gosh, it just pulled off. Okay, yeah, that's the PCV valve. Yeah, we're gonna put a real piece of hose there. That's a weird one. I guess I could just leave it like that for now. Just need to get that off. Here's another vacuum line. Okay, so that's that. What is this? Is this EGR? Yeah, this is our EGR valve. This is some crazy futuristic alien technology looking one. I've never seen one like this. Don't know how to disconnect it. I guess we'll get there later. Just disconnected the throttle position sensor. Never mind. This is the idler control motor. The throttle position is underneath it. So that's all good. Okay, this is the actual connector right here. It comes off. I don't want to break it. Can you imagine trying to find this connector? Impossible. No pressure, Alex. No pressure. Oh, I got it off. Wow, that's a nice looking connector though. Look at that. This reminds me of the flux capacitor.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
It's definitely built by aliens though. All right, this is basically done draining. We have a little bit at the bottom, but it was getting kind of dirty looking, so I don't want that going in my radiator. Yeah, it's just a little dirty looking at the bottom, so we'll clean this tank out as well. Ew, like baby vomit at the bottom. This is one of those parts you definitely want to clean up before you go back together. I'd love to replace this. I don't know if I'd ever find it, but made in Canada. In a boot. All right, I believe I have everything disconnected for the upper plenum. Let's zip zam zoo these. Are these all the same length? Nope. Nope. And let's see, that's the same as this one. Okay. Did I miss like a bunch of them back here? I did, didn't I? Oh yeah, I missed one there and one there. I always wonder if there's guys that like, you know, professionally work on a specific type of vehicle, if they ever watch these videos and they're like, dude, there's two right there. I mean, I would do that. Like, if I watched something on an engine that I did like a million times, I'd be screaming at the TV too. I can't hear you, but I'll figure it out eventually. You know, let's just pull these spark plug wires too. Why not? They seem kind of in the way. All right, there we go. Oh, these aren't 10s. Are you kidding me? These are 13s. Old GM techs are like, they're 13s. What are you doing? Actually, speaking of that, I was at Great America last week with my kids. I hate roller coasters. I just go on them to prove that I'm still a man, I guess. But I was at Great America and I had a subscriber come up to me and he's like, I saw your video on, you know, this car, the Oldsmobile. And he told me about the leaking distributor plug thing underneath here. I'd kind of known about it from the comments too, but he was like, we did those all the time. You got to replace those. It's like, thanks, man. Thanks, old GM tech from the 90s. Super nice guy. His kid watches all the videos too with him, which is awesome. I'm missing something here. Where is that Great America GM tech when you need him? Man, duh, Alex. EGR valve, it's bolted right on. That's what's holding me up, but the tube goes to the exhaust and it's very difficult to get to and I don't want to break it, so we'll take it off from the top. These are coming out nicely. Okay, there we go. We can at least get this out of the way. Oh, now we're nice and loose. Excellent. All right, removing the 3.4 liter plenum. Oh, don't tell me I forgot something else. There's nothing else. There's clearly something else. Oh, man. It's a hose. It's a hose. Okay. I think I got it. I don't got it. I got the clamp off for the hose. Anyone else notice that I totally forgot the throttle cables need to be removed too? That's not holding me up though right now. Something else. Oh, goodbye, elbow. You're totally gonna hit the hood at some point. That was okay. I think I did it. What else? Oh, we got a brake booster hose. That's no biggie. Okay. I'll show you all these hoses here in a minute. It's just, there's not a lot of room back here for the old camaradora. Is that how you say camera in Spanish? I don't know. Sounds like it. There we go. Okay, coming off. Whew. Can I just show you why I need a bigger shop? I mean, look at how close the quarters are. Like totally mint paint, Grand National, and I have like 2 feet and I'm working in there. The shop is just loaded up and a lot of these cars can't go outside. I need like 10,000 square feet. All right, here we go. Plenum off on the 3.4. Got some more cool GM writing right there. Here are the fuel injectors and the rail. And here is the lower intake, which does look to have a newer gasket. Like there's no leaks at all. That looks nice. I'm sure, you know, someone's been in here before. The valve covers aren't actually leaking either, like at all. It's hard to see, but the cam seals aren't leaking. So I'm sure some of this stuff has been sealed up. But lots of little, while you're in there, so we have an O-ring here. This was the hose I was fighting to get off of this tube. So we got that. Here's the brake booster hose as well. Here is a fuel pressure regulator, which I'm gonna replace while we're in there because it's a pain to get to. But everything is bone dry in here. That is really nice to see. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying to see the dual overhead cam action. Let's take this valve cover off. We are gonna be replacing the valve cover gaskets. These spark plugs, or at least a couple of them, had some oil on them, so it's a good thing to do. There we go. Nice. Oh, GM dual overhead cam. Sweet. Where are the seals? Okay, yeah, it's these seals here that can leak. I gotta say, these look really nice. Wow, this engine is sweet. So overall, this is a great engine. It's just mostly people freak out about the timing belt on these earlier ones because they can destroy the engine quickly. But they didn't have any like head gasket issues. They didn't have any timing chain issues, stuff like that. The important stuff is all solid. And look at the cams. I mean, there's no sludge in here. This is just absolutely beautiful. I did do an engine oil flush and new oil, obviously, but this looks so good. Awesome. And look at this cool little like cover built into the cylinder head. How does this work? This is a separate piece, so we just removed the upper, valve cover. But if you actually wanted to take the cams off, you'd have to go one step further. This is interesting. This top portion right here is not actually the cylinder head. The bolts for it are right here. There's a few of them. And you remove that, and that's actually the upper bearing half, so to speak, of the cam. So you can see here that the cam is riding on this. So you would remove this, remove the cams, and then get to the head bolts if you needed to take your cylinder heads off. But yeah, like I said, we're in good shape. Nothing's leaking here. But there would be another gasket in between this and the actual head. This is the head down here. So very interesting design. I have never seen that before, and I have a feeling I'm gonna say that quite a few times on this engine. Definitely never seen a timing belt and timing chain, and I've never seen a throttle body literally built into the intake manifold. Have you guys seen any of these three things thus far in your life of cars? All right, we have to disconnect two fuel lines, so we're gonna use this tool that pushes in these little fingers. And then this just pulls right off. Excellent, excellent design. I love these. Well, if they're in really nice spots like this, then I like them. Okay, yes, I like them. I like them today. And they are slightly different sizes, so we won't get these mixed up. I've already disconnected all of the fuel injectors, and now we just have a few 8 mils for the fuel rail. I'm probably having a heart attack here with these bolts. I haven't covered up the intake there, but I'm a professional. I do this with my eyes closed and not drop anything. Oh no, I just dropped something. Just kidding, I did that on purpose. I mean, I did drop something, but not in the engine. Cover up your intake ports though. This is a bad idea. Now we can kind of shimmy sham these injectors a little bit. They've been in here for a while, I'm sure. Shimmy, there we go. There we go. Awesome. All right, fuel rail and injectors going bye-bye. We're gonna come back to these injectors and use the machine to test them. We might replace those, but I got most of my parts in. We have an AC Delco professional water pump. They have like the budget and then the professional for AC Delco, but still made in China, so there's that. I tried. We have a new tensioner. We got the new belt, valve covers, thermostat, regulator. I don't even know what's in here. But yeah, we got stuff. With the fuel rail out, I've removed some of the fuel injectors. We're gonna be replacing them along with a new fuel pressure regulator. Although these seals look very nice and new. I'm literally gonna save these seals, but not the injectors. These first generation injectors on the 3.4s had a lot of issues. GM came out with a bulletin and they said they had a phantom stalling issue. So we had a stalling out engine issue before. It was the ignition control unit, and this thing would barely ever start, and if it did, it would die out. That was definitely it. It has been really good, like 98% of the time. There have been 2 times I've driven this car where it has just died out of nowhere and it'll restart. And it is very possible it's because of these old style injectors. They're also really loud. So these are the new ones. We're gonna kind of have a little injector battle right now. All right, so check this out, guys. I've been trying to get this machine to work. I thought it was broken. Watch this. See how it does that? It's like a warning right when it starts. And here's what I figured out. If we unplug this injector, everything works fine. This one here kills it. Okay, you guys don't understand how cool this is. Like, that injector was working. Like, the first time I fired up the machine off camera, it was spraying just fine. I just wanted to make sure there were no leaks, everything was good. And then this happened. We just caught this injector failing just the way GM said it would, and that would cause it to stall because it's shorting out electronically, and these injectors are all connected. It has like a batch fuel injection system that all fire at the same time. So we just caught this thing like red-handed failing on us. This was the problem. This is why GM came out with this bulletin, and I can't believe that it still has the original injectors. I guess this was like a big deal. Anyway, I wonder if I can revive this thing. Now, you guys have seen me revive totally dead injectors before by tapping on them. Curious if I can get this one to go. Not yet. Usually I'm tapping on them because the pintle is stuck where it's dirty. This is an electronic issue though. I don't think we're gonna be able to fix this. No. You guys wanna see something else that's really cool? You can check an injector for resistance. So right now, our bad injector, it's gonna go up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. 2.3 is where it ends. And then we'll try another old injector and compare, and it's gonna go much higher. Check it out. We're gonna get to, yeah, about 12.5. And here are the new style injectors that I'm gonna be installing. And what do we got here? Hopefully 12, yeah, there we go, cool, awesome. So we can clearly tell by ohming it that this injector is bad, and you don't even need to know the specs for your particular injector. The chances of all of them being bad are very slim, so just compare it to its injector brothers or a new injector, and you're gonna be good. So this thing is shot. God, for a mechanic to like see smoking guns like this is the stuff we live for. Like to be able to 100% diagnose something and know that when you install the new part, it's definitely gonna fix it. It's just a good feeling. All right, let's just have these two battle it out. I want to show you guys a difference in the spray pattern. And this one you can see is kind of more divided like a V. And this one's a little bit all over the place, and that was one of the improvements on the new style injector. On the left, you can see the new style injector with those 2 larger holes. And this one has 4 smaller holes, which at first I was like, well, that's better atomization. But this is a much newer style technology, so it's getting the same atomization out of the 2 holes, and it's able to split the fuel up for the dual intake valves. So these injectors are different than the pushrod variant, the 2-valve variant of this engine. But outside of electronic issues with these old ones, I wouldn't say this is bad. That's the normal spray pattern, but check out the difference in noise. So here, we'll do this. We'll pull this one. Okay, so listen to this fuel injector, and now we'll plug this guy in. It is so loud, and that was another complaint they got, was that the injector was just too loud, so this new style is whisper quiet. All right, to speed things up, we're gonna do a high-speed test of these injectors, and you get a really good view. So this would be after you raise the RPM up. I'm not exactly sure what the RPM is supposed to translate to for the injectors, but this is much faster than before, and what I wanna show you guys is that this injector is actually slightly larger than the other one. As you can see here, it's flowing just a little bit more fuel. There we go. It's not a lot. And GM mentions this in the bulletin that the injectors are not only gonna fix the phantom stalling and the loud noise, but they're gonna be slightly larger, which isn't really gonna affect our fueling at idle, part throttle, stuff like that, because the O2 sensors are in play. So they're gonna be able to adjust short-term fuel trims. But at wide open throttle, we are gonna get a little bit more fuel, and I guess that's what GM wanted with this recall as well. And a lot of guys on the forums say the good old Cutlass is severely underrated, that these engines made way more than the 205 horsepower or whatever that they said they did, and they had to detune them so the transmission would live. I'd love to see this thing with a little boost, but I don't really want to modify this car. All right, guys, we're not quite ready for these injectors, but I'm gonna install them on the rail with the Mercedes-Benz sunroof grease. Absolutely need that. Just slide right in. If you're new to the channel, I'm totally kidding. I've been using the same vat of MB sunroof grease for like 12 to 15 years. It's kind of a running joke here, but lots of new viewers on the channel. I don't want to give you guys any bad information. You don't need that. I'm just kidding. Something I'm not kidding about is that we need to install these new injector clips, and they're not new. They're original, actually, just like that. Okay. I'll put the rest in, and we'll save this guy for later. So we're gonna remove the intake manifold now, and we have a quick disconnect right here. And by quick, I mean it's not being quick. Let's get help from Mr. Screwdriver. Come on. I was gonna say, you're so nice in factory. You must be saved. Wait a minute, look at where this connects. Always take the path of least resistance, people. That's what electricity does. Be more like electricity. That seal's never been broken. Until now. Haha, I will win. We're gonna be replacing the thermostat anyway, so this pipe has to come out. And a little bracket there. There we go. There's our thermostat. Nothing wrong with it, but while we're in there, it's a couple bucks, new seal too. Let's get our intake off. Zip zam zoo time. Come on. I forgot one. Oh, I did. There's another one in there. Jeez. Man, they didn't want this intake going anywhere. Oh, seriously? No, I got them all. There's another one in here. That is kind of unnecessary. I don't think these had the intake manifold leaks that like the normal 3.1 and the 3.8 had. Probably because they have about 48 gigantic bolts holding it down. It cannot physically leak. Oh, there's a coolant sensor we're about to break off. There we go. Ah, that's the sound you want to hear. All right, I will take you out, bolts. Sometimes the bolts hold it up and you gotta take it out. Oh, and these have seals as well. There we go. Get out. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Goodbye. There she is. My paint. My nice teal paint. All right, this is a very basic intake manifold. This actually reminds me of the one on my V12 Mercedes, which is also a super basic, like long intake like this. Another weird engine that It's never given me any problems at all. These intake manifold gaskets look mint. We could reuse these if we wanted. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them at all. We could take a look at some valves in there. Obviously, this is not direct injected, so they're gonna be clean. But yeah, this is fun. This is the distributor stub. So there was a distributor at some point on this block, and now it doesn't have it. It still has this stub. You can't take this out though. I mean, the cylinder head is right here. So that's interesting. Now the good thing is it's not leaking at all. This is just coolant. Everything else is bone dry around here, so there's no oil leak. Man, I don't know. I gotta figure that out. Like, what would you do? Remove the cylinder head if that was leaking? That would be horrible. All right, I did a little research on this fake distributor shaft. And as you can see, to completely remove it, you have to take this cylinder head off, which is a big, big job. And I don't think this warrants it at all. So this would leak engine oil. Again, this is just coolant for me taking tubes apart. And what happens is it'll leak to the back of the engine over here. And again, ours is bone dry. There's no leak whatsoever. This is an oil distribution block. It's kind of like a valley plate that has a seal. And sometimes this could leak as well. Again, ours is like dusty in there, no leaks at all. We have brand new intake gaskets, and I'm starting to wonder if this stuff was done. So remember, this car was owned for the vast majority of its life by an employee at GM that had it in like a collection. So he probably did like everything. And then just the last 7 years, it was owned by someone else. But this is one of those situations where, according to the internet, if you don't want to take the head off, you could remove the one bolt and there's a clamp, and you can kind of pop this distributor shaft up. And then they literally say just to clean it up, take a new gasket, cut it in half, slide it in there, and RTV it. Some guys literally JB weld or epoxy this thing shut so it can never leak. Ours is not leaking at all. And all I'd have to do is take off the intake manifold to get to it. So this is kind of rare on this channel, but this is gonna be one of those things where if it's not broken, we're not gonna fix it. I mean, there is absolutely no indication of any leak whatsoever. And I kind of don't want to take it apart and goop it up like that. So we're gonna leave this, but if you do have this issue, that would be the fix. Don't take the cylinder head off, RTV it first. Everybody on the internet, seems to say that that works, and that's it. For all we know, this GM guy like removed the heads and fixed it up really nice or something. So we're gonna leave that alone. I could totally leave these brand new gaskets alone as well, but I'll probably replace them because they're cheap. Look at the intake valves. You gotta love port injection. They're mint. All right, we're gonna go ahead and clean up bugs and whatnot. We'll make this look nice and pretty. Oh, and something else, this vacuum hose right here, it looks to have been replaced. It's in excellent condition. All right, let's clean up our cowl too. Should have done this first. All right, other valve cover's coming off, and we'll get rid of some tubes in the meantime to the pile of stuff that needs to be cleaned. All right, guys, right now I want to start on this timing belt job, and I pulled out the spark plug for cylinder 1. This has to be a top dead center, and we're gonna stick a long extension, so right now it's resting on the top of the piston. It's a 15 millimeter on the crank pulley. There's a few markers on this to line up the timing, and 2 of them are on the cam pulleys, so you can see these yellow dots. And I'm gonna spin the engine. Looks like we have to go quite a ways to get those to line up. Oh yeah, it's in gear. I left the car in gear. I'm literally moving the car. It's got 1 Alex power right now. All right, we gotta put it in neutral. There we go. You can see the extension going down. We want that piston at top dead center, not bottom. Uh-oh, okay. I'm just gonna take this out right now. Don't want it to fall too deep. All right, guys, I missed my timing mark. I have to spin this around again, and it is a pain with the spark plugs. Honestly, you don't even need to take them all the way out if you don't want to. We already replaced these. Just wanna loosen them so that you bleed compression, and it's way easier to turn. The reason I missed my marks is I had these lined up, but the piston was still way too far down, and that is because I found out these 2 lines have to be on the outside, and these have to match up on the inside. Just some madness here of the 3400. All right, I added a little extender helper here. We should be on the way up. On the come up. There we go. Excellent. So we are at top dead center, but we got to keep going because there's 2 top dead centers. The piston can be all the way up for the end of the exhaust stroke and the compression stroke. So because these lines aren't lined up, we know this is exhaust. We need to go all the way again. I'm gonna work out. Just gonna take this out though. Don't trust it. Don't lose your extension in your engine, then you're taking the heads off. All right, guys, I have this at top dead center, but nothing is lining up at all. So these are supposed to be flat so you can fit a tool in here to hold the cams. They're not, everything is off, and well, there's a reasonable explanation. And in this case, I'm kind of an idiot. I didn't realize that is not cylinder 1. That one is. So I was doing this wrong the whole time. Sometimes you mess up. So let's pull this spark plug all the way out. There it is. And we'll move this over to there. And we'll forget any of that ever happened. We're going up, top dead. Are you there? Yep, that's it. When it stops moving, you're good. If it starts to go down, you're not good. You gotta do it again. Haha, this makes sense now. We have dots lining up, and that's all the way up. Cylinders at top dead center. We got the right one. We're good. Okay, so then the cam tool would go here. No, that doesn't make any sense. There's no flats right here. That makes no sense. Is this one? So then the other one would be here. See these flats, guys? There's a hole right in the middle, and there's a special tool. It's basically a piece of flat stock, and it'll hold the cams. Okay, but that would work fine here, but not here. But that's impossible. Like, I have the work instructions, okay? This one's at 2 o'clock, which we're good on, I'll show you in a minute. But then all of these line up, and yeah, this makes no sense at all, because then you're supposed to put the cam hold down tools in. I don't know what to say. This is so crazy. There's a line on the balancer, it lines up with an arrow here. That is fine. Like, everything is fine except these cams right here. Like, they should be going like this way-ish. You know what I'm trying to say? This is weird. All right, guys, I found a few videos on the internet on how to time this, and they all are like throwing everything out the window. They don't even have the valve covers off. They're not using any special tools. And a couple of the guys were like, none of the timing marks in the instruction manual make any sense at all. They're like just marking it with white paint markers and just getting the new belt on there, which we've done. You know, we totally do that. We don't need to set anything at all. There's no instructions. Someone out there, old 90s GM techs, what's the proper way to do this? I mean, we're still gonna get it done. I'll show you. But before I show you how to do a timing belt without really knowing how to time the engine at all, we gotta clean. We gotta clean, because this thing is nasty. Yeah, there's dust everywhere. Actually, it cleans up really easily. Like, look at this stuff. It comes off like that. Oh, look at that. That's great. This stuff just vacuums right up. Perfect. All right, we're done. We don't even need a new belt. Actually, this belt doesn't even look bad. Like, stuff's been done in here, that's for sure. But we're gonna replace it anyway, so we got a white paint marker. So first things first, I'm gonna write F for front with an arrow. We will do R for rear, also with an arrow. And then what we're gonna do is paint some white on the cam gear and on the belt. We're gonna go all the way. And then we're painting the same tooth as well. So that's that. And then I'm gonna do it again on another one. And we'll connect that. And then we're gonna do it again on this cam gear. That one's gonna line up with this tooth. We'll skip one and go over here. Now that we have this cleaned up, you can see there's a factory yellow dot that's facing down, and then it kind of lines up here. We're just gonna go with that one too. We'll make our own little factory. And I'm getting some on the belt right now. That's the important part. And then just to be on the safe side, we're gonna do another one here. And we know that is facing forward. We have this all marked up. We have this marked up. We have this marked up, and now we're gonna mark up the new belt. So first we have to remove this belt. This is one of the 2 tensioners. So we'll loosen this guy. There we go. That's on there pretty good. This is an eccentric bolt, so we'll have to mess with this tension a little later. All right, with that loose, we're gonna do the other pulleys that we're gonna be replacing. And they're all T50s. We got this one too to crack loose. These have a wall on them, and that's why it kind of makes it hard to remove the belt. So now we can slide the belt off. The cam is not spinning. That's fantastic. It's probably why no one uses this cam tool that like literally can't even be fit in here. I don't know. I couldn't find the actual tool either. I was just gonna use some flat stock and drill a hole in it, but don't even need that. All right, here's one of our pulleys. Ah, okay, that fell. Everything's falling out. I think my paint is dry, but I'm being very careful about it. I recommend you get these power steering lines out of the way. Okay, belt's coming out, and our marks are intact. We got these, and we got these. Excellent. The eccentric pulley is actually tightened up with this right here, and it is a spring-loaded tensioner, but we need to take it out to reset it. Look at that, just flopping around. There we go, ratcheting wrench for the win here. And with these cracked loose, we can take them out by hand. There's one. There we go, slide it out. Guys, check out this GM video that I found online. Oh yes, no way. I'm trying to find some information on how in the world this thing works because it's not fed engine oil. I think it's just a spring, but it would need to be reset. So I mean, we got this and it's an hour and 11-minute long video from GM. Look at this, General Motors 3400 V6.
The new 3.4-liter V6 twin dual cam engine from General Motors.
Twin dual cam engine.
With a design heritage born and bred on the racetracks
It's
of the world.
Z34
The General
Lumina.
Motors 3.4-liter V6 twin dual
Okay,
cam
all right,
engine
guys, listen. I'm
uses
no,
the
it's a
latest
Pontiac.
in
I want that too. I want them all.
technology,
Look at how
while
cool
remaining
that is.
true to the General Motors engineering tradition of performance
Okay.
with durability and reliability. You'll find the 3.4-liter
Look at that
V6
confusing,
twin
weird
dual
thing.
cam engine is easy to understand.
It is?
Service is straightforward to perform.
Yeah,
As
okay.
the
All right,
new
we gotta skip around, guys.
Connect the throttle
Do they get
body
into the
gear plate
engine?
and the engine
Okay, this is
Do not
too
use
cool.
sharp. The timing belt
There we go.
is to measure the length of the actuator
Oh.
from the center line of the pivot point, known as the trunnion,
I didn't
to
do
the
that.
end of the rubber boot.
I wish I found this video.
For a new belt,
Okay, here we go. He's taking it out.
removal of the tensioner from the base allows it to extend to its maximum travel length. Set the actuator on a table in the vertical position.
This is what I need it for.
Remove the rubber end plug and allow the oil to drain into the boot end.
Oh.
There is a tapered bushing between the
Yeah, what's
actuator
this thing?
and the mounting base. Do not lose or damage the bushing when removing the tensioner assembly.
Oh, that's this
In order
side.
to retract
There's another
the
one.
tensioner,
Okay.
you'll need a standard smooth paper clip.
No way.
Straighten the paper clip.
We're gonna use a
leaving
paper clip, and it's
small
like
loop
gold
one
in the
end.
90s. It's
Holding
speaking of the
the tensioner in
90s.
one
This
of
guy
the
has one of
other.
those like 1950s
Insert the
voices,
paper
not
clip
90s.
into the center
Like I remember
hole
the
in
90s.
rubber vent plug
No one talked
and
like
the
this.
small pilot hole.
I don't know. Okay.
You do not need to remove the rubber plug. Now, insert a small screwdriver into the slot inside the small end of the tensioner. By turning the
All right,
screw
cool.
clock.
All right, guys, so basically what we have to do is pop that off and then fit a screwdriver in here, and we're gonna tighten this up. Oh, and see how it's getting shorter? Cool. So we're sucking this in. Oh, and then it'll just wind right back out. You can see with the handle. See that? So we need to get this down, 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 tighten it up, and then we kind of gotta hold it so it doesn't go crazy. We have a paper clip, it's not gold, but we're gonna poke it through. There's a hole in this rubber plug, supposedly. Oh man, I don't know if I actually have a hole. I guess we're gonna make a hole. Oh no, we do, it's going in nicely. All right, and this is what's gonna hold the spring? No, it's not holding it yet. Oh, there we go, okay. All right, I found it. It's in there, but it's still going back. All right, so yeah, there we go, cool. This is holding it now. This is so awesome. There was talks about oil, like that we need to put oil inside of here.
Fill the tensioner with SAE 5W30 Mobile 1 oil.
Get
or
outta
the
here.
Equivalent if required.
That is too cool. You gotta use synthetic oil in your spring-loaded tensioner. I mean, that's weird, but this is not connected to the engine oil at all. It's just oil in there for the spring, so it's just gonna sit in there for the rest of time. All right, guys, we're using some AMS oil, so hopefully that's okay, but we're just putting a little bit in with our 100-year-old oil can. I think this thing basically was already filled up with our old GM oil. It's bubbling a little. Anyway, yeah, this is topped up. I mean, there's oil all the way there. Now we're gonna put our little plug in, somehow get in there. Plug is back. All right, we have reset. Now let's go see if this is in our engine. Hopefully it is. Oh, and by the way, I couldn't find this part at all. It's unobtainium or adamantium. I think I said that earlier. Wolverine. All right, you guys see the bushing? Oh, there it is, there it is. Ah. You guys see it's all the way to the left-hand side of the screen. I can't move the camera any closer, but it's there. Is anyone else gonna watch the 1 hour and 11-minute long video on this engine? I 100% am gonna watch the entire thing. I did skip around. He does show the fake little distributor stub with the seal on there, but they have the heads off and they're GM, so they're like, you have to take the heads off. It's like, okay, whatever. Oh, look at this, guys.
Special tool number
There is the timing chain right here. There's so many special tools in this video, it's crazy. Basically, we would have to dig very deep into this engine to get to the timing chain. And these old school, really short timing chains, like just like any V8 or V6 engine, push rod, whatever, they never go bad. So we are not messing with these at all. There's, oh my gosh, yeah, there's a lot that needs to come apart for that. We're good, just doing a timing belt. All right, so here's a little test, and you can see there's the tool installed right here. And this is what makes absolutely no sense, is we have the engine set up top dead center, you know, everything is good, but there's no flat spots. They're facing down. It should look just like this. That's where the tool goes in. And I watched the video, they like don't really talk about this at all. They just show a tool is here, but they don't show a tool being on the other side. There's never a point where the tool is on both heads at the same time. And the craziest thing, these cam gears, they just free spin. Check it out, look at that.
The sprockets should spin freely.
Look at that. This locks them in.
Lock ring washers on the nose of the camshaft.
Look at this. So he's gonna install the belt without tightening these. After the belt is on, then he tightens them. So you could basically spin these around wherever you want, and then you gotta mark them, I guess. But this makes no sense. And I mean, maybe I gotta watch the whole video, I'm skimming through it, but it's not like we can flip these cams 180 and be good to go. Then, you know, all the cam timing would be off. So all I know is that when you take the belt off, the cams don't move at all and everything else is lined up. So if you're just doing a timing belt change, that's all you need. Let me show you the belt though. You guys have seen me do this on the Eclipse when we were doing the timing belt job, but we have taken the old belt and the new belt and zip tied them together perfectly. And so we have our marks there, and all of our ribs are gonna line up on this side so we can just transfer everything. All right, so we're just gonna do our lines like this, and we are replicating the old belt. We're basically cloning it. Cool, so we're gonna go around, we're gonna do this to everything that we marked on the old belt. That is a great straight line, Alex. Good job. Okay. Part that really matters is right here. All right, we're cutting zip ties. People, everything is marked. New belt is going in, R for rear. And I did loosen up this power steering line just a little so we can sneak it in easier. Not leaking any fluid or anything, so that's good. Oh, that's beautiful. So much easier. So we're currently missing all the pulleys right now. We're just gonna start to line things up. So it's gonna go like so. And right now we're just gonna stick a couple of zip ties in here to hold our belt right where it needs to be. There we go. Okay. That's good. In the video, the old GM guy uses vice grips to hold those on, and I'm wondering, did they not have zip ties in the early 90s? Was that not invented yet? Why are you using vice grips, like on the belt and the gear? It's kind of weird. Other than that, though, I trust the GM guy with my life. That video is phenomenal. We have our marks for our main drive gear, so we can slide it on there. Like that. We have our lines for the main drive, and we can line them up like that. Slide it right on. With the belt lined up, we can start to install our pulleys. These idler pulleys have very high walls, so you might have to get the belt kind of on the pulley while you push it in. Yeah, like that. Cool. And we'll just start these all by hand, obviously. According to the GM guy, we're torquing these to 37 foot-pounds. There we go. All right, we have the other idler pulley installed. And we'll give this our final torque. So what we have here is an eccentric bolt, so you can see it's all the way over to one side. Now on my clips, you actually have to make the tension adjustment because once this is bolted in, it's actually gonna move the pulley. But because we have a 1992 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme with the amazing 3400, we have this tensioner that is spring loaded. It's gonna fit right in this ball and it's gonna offer the proper tension at all times. So unlike everything else that's difficult to work on this engine, this they make easy for you. All right, we're gonna actually turn this cam gear a little bit. Belt's lined up, so we're good there, but we need a little bit of slack in here to fit the pulley. All right, so I'm moving the cam back right now, giving myself a little bit of slack to fit this guy in, like that. I've torqued the tensioner pulley, now we just need to go back together with this ingenious design. So this plate goes like that, and we gotta figure out a way to slide this in. I've installed the 2 bolts that hold the tensioner in. We'll give it a torque. We're doing this to 25 foot-pounds. One thing you wanna make sure of before you pull the grenade pin is that the ball of the spring tensioner is on the eccentric, just like this. All right, so we're gonna pull the grenade pin now. There we go. We got it. Yeah, this is really nice. I like that tension. It's perfect. It won't slip. It's not too much for the bearings. We're good. We're good. I've spun this around a couple times. We don't have valves hitting pistons. You definitely want to do this by hand. But I will say something I do have that's hitting is my hand on this water pump. We got to take this thing out anyway to replace it. Let's do that. There we go. Wow. This is a nice looking water pump, guys. I don't think I'm throwing this out. I respect this water pump. This is beautiful. Man, that professional Series AC Delco better look just like this or this is going right back in. If this is plastic, we are done here. Okay, it is metal. That's nice. Definitely a different like design. And man, this looks so beefy. I don't know, guys. I tell you, this is taking like at least 10 horsepower to spin though. Decisions. I gotta say, guys, I have no idea what to do with this whole water pump situation. Like, I don't know what to do. Oh, what in the world is going on? Hey bro, just use me, I'm new. That guy's old. What? Are you talking? I've been pumping a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and water since before the factory you were made in was even built. I mean, that is true. Whatever, brah. I pump when I want to. Engines are lucky to have me. That's all right. That's the problem with you new entitled parts. You never worked a day in your life. Look, Alex, I promise I'll give you like at least 18 months of flow before I decide I totally picked the wrong career and then I'll just quit. Isn't that exactly what the warranty period is? I don't know. Yeah, but I'm shinier. It's true. Don't do it, Alex. I may be old and have a little more bearing wear, but just look at me. I'm made of steel. It's true. It's so nice. It is getting loose. Oh, this is tighter. Oh, I don't know what to do. All right, guys, after a few weeks of doing literally nothing but debating, I'm gonna go with this new water pump. We're gonna do an experiment. It's for you guys to see how long this thing actually lasts. I think it'll be all right. But because I love my old geezer original GM water pump so much, I'm gonna hang it off the rear view mirror and drive around with it. So it's just next to me at all times. It's just too cool. I love it. Anywho, let's get the new one on. I've cleaned up the mating surface here, so we're ready for the new water pump. And something interesting I found out is that these earlier dual overhead cam 3.4s are not interference. So after doing a timing belt job, I always kind of spin the engine around. But even if we did mess up the timing, it wouldn't matter. We'd still be able to spin it around. Later in like 94, 95, something like that, they made these interference because they changed something, I think, with the cam and head. heads. But anyway, most engines are interference engines, so definitely spin them over by hand with the lines on the belt and everything like that. We did it perfectly and the cams didn't spin. So we're gonna be fine, knock on air. But yeah, not interference on the early years. All right, our new Punk AC Delco is going in. New gasket, a little RTV on there too. GM used something on these water pump bolts and I don't think it was Loctite. I think they used some kind of thread sealant. So I'm gonna add a little bit to these. Look at this, pump's already trying to quit on me. It's pulled back. Go back, dude. You're gonna have to do something here. Jeez. A new generation of parts, you know? Bolts are all torqued. Good luck. While we continue to work on the Oldsmobile, I want to clean all this stuff so it's nice and dry before it goes on. It's pretty grimy and nasty. This is interesting. This is the front valve cover, the one that you see when you pop the hood. This one you don't see much. And they didn't bother to waste any paint on this one since you can't see it. But it's dirty. We gotta clean it. I'm gonna go ahead and soak everything. We'll use release. It's nice and gentle. This gasket we are replacing, so we can just take this off. And we'll see if we can get this coolant tank to look nicer than this. Sometimes you just gotta replace these though. We're gonna have to say goodbye to my beautiful, beautiful fluff. Just gonna pressure wash this off. Goodbye. Comes right off. It's so nice. Look at this, October 18th, 91. On the front, we might end up losing this decal. There's grime here. Can't see what the decal was anyway. It's hanging on for dear life. See ya, buddy. Plastic stuff is done, and I was able to save this phenomenal sticker right here. Look at that, 1990 GM, printed the USA. Let's see what we can do here with these valve covers. Oh yeah, cutting right through, and we're being gentle. We're not gonna polish this or anything. Instead, I'm using the drill brush attachment from our detail kit. We sell a 3-pack at LegitStreetCars.com. These things are phenomenal, obviously, for detailing the inside of your car. But I hate when people use a wire wheel on a valve cover and they end up like looking like they tried to polish it, but it failed miserably. These won't actually scratch anything, but they clean great. So I just have some for engine parts, some for interiors, because you probably don't want this on your seat anymore. Yeah, this is so good. This will speed things up. You don't want to sit here by hand and do this, and then we can get around all of the bolts and really mint this out. Oh yeah. Goodbye, dirt. All right, so the passenger side valve cover used to look like this, and now it looks like this. No one will see it, but we know. You guys know. All right, so with the pressure washer, took a little bit of this off, and we'll add a little more release. And a larger brush, definitely getting better. Yeah, it's got like this yellow kind of tint over it there. Although we will really never see the side. It's the top that I mostly want to clean up. Yeah, we're exfoliating a little. It's getting there. Everything is dry and as clean as we can get it without replacing stuff. So I'll do a final touch on some of this stuff when it gets on the car like that because I gotta manhandle it, but we're looking pretty good and mostly just needed this out of the pile. Hang on, I'm not a big fan of this. Not perfect, but much, much better. And check this out. It says PMC. Is that Pontiac Motor Company or something to do with Pontiac? Or am I completely missing something? It could be. They had this engine in Pontiacs as well, the Grand Prix and stuff. So maybe they just borrowed this. They went down the street and they're like, Pontiac, we need a pulley. We just designed this crazy cylinder head thing and we need some help. Pontiac's like, I want nothing to do with any of this, but here's a pulley. Check this out. I just got a belt for my Chevy Express van, and I opened the box, and there's belt fluff, just like we saw in the Oldsmobile underneath that black cover. It was just right here. That's so crazy. Is there anyone out there that's like familiar with the belt manufacturing process? Like, what is this stuff? I'm assuming it's pieces of belt. All right, cleaned up Pontiac pulley going on. And I did Loctite these bolts. The way we're gonna tighten this is hold the pulley. Just a couple rat-a-tat-tats. Is very, very low torque. I'm also replacing the normal belt tensioner. So for the serpentine belt, no issues with it at all, but you know, while we're in there. It's a Litton's. A Litton's. Sounds British. Oh no, it's made in Canada. Litton's. Beautiful timing belt cover going back in. Like that. Cover is on. New tensioner going on over it. Pulley was getting in the way before. Get in there. There we go. I think that's its home, roughly. Let's see if I can thread this in. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm threading. Okay, timing's done, water pump's done. Outside of the belt here, which we'll do in a minute, we're good in this general vicinity. And you know what? I'm gonna replace the gasket for this. I did read online that there is a section of it that could leak internally, and I did find the gasket. At first, I couldn't find it anywhere, and then the local auto parts store had it listed under something else, so we're good. It's really easy to replace. It's just a bunch of 10s. All right, let's get these out of here. And 3.1 guys, 3.8 guys. Does the normal pushrod engine have this? I don't know, it's been a while. Is this specific to this? I think so. All right, so we are probably gonna lose a little bit of engine oil. There's our gasket. Here's the bottom of our plate. Very nice, very clean. Get this gasket out of here. This is our new gasket. This one has been replaced though. This is a Felpro gasket, so someone's been in here as I suspected, which is good. You like to see new parts. Yeah, no, there's no way this is on the regular pushrod engine. I looked up exactly what this plate is about because I thought it was just as simple as PCV, but it's not. This actually keeps oil in the heads after you shut the engine off, and I'm learning that right now kind of, because out of this hole right here, oil keeps on coming up. So if we started the car, oil would most likely just gush out of that with oil pressure. And it does line up with this hole. I'm not exactly sure how the function of this works, but it is possible that this is some kind of one-way check valve and there is actually oil inside of this right now. And when you shut the car off, it holds it in. Okay, this is pretty genius. Check this out, guys. Do you see that shaft right there? And right there, and then back here, it's got a gear that meshes in with our little distributor hub. This shaft right here used to be the camshaft. So the 3100, 3800, all those engines were pushrod engines. They were just like Chevy small blocks, and they had a cam right here, and it would have a gear at the end, and it would drive the distributor, because those engines had a distributor, and it would drive the oil pump, which is down there. We can't see it. So in order for GM to not have to completely redesign the block or make a new block, but still run dual overhead cam, they just installed like a blank camshaft at the end of the day, and they still have the timing chain in there so it can drive that cog setup that we see to run the 4 cams on top of the heads. That is ingenious. So they were able to add dual overhead cam by using essentially a fake camshaft, and they're using the fake half distributor to hold it all together so they didn't have to reinvent the wheel. This is awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I love seeing stuff like this. I don't love seeing all this engine oil here because this kind of stinks. I should have drained it, but it's new. I really don't want to get underneath there and drain the oil. We're gonna try something. And we suck out enough oil from there and soak up this mess that we just made in the valley so I can put the gasket on, and I'll slam the plate on really quick too. I sucked oil out of these 2 ports and now it's not coming out anymore, so everything is cleaned up and we can go together with our gasket like that. All right, this guy's going back on. Look at that, cool. And then we just install our bolts in reverse order. That's it. All right, we'll zip these down, torque them, and we're moving on to an intake manifold. With this plate torqued down and everything cleaned up, we can go back together with brand new intake manifold gaskets. And these get held in by these tabs, which is great. Get the other one on there too. And can we just take a moment to appreciate these intake manifold gaskets? These are a beautiful, beautiful thing. You could reuse these like a million times over. I actually save a lot of old parts, so I'm definitely saving these. These will go into a box and I'll label it. And if I ever go on an adventure to go pick up an unknown car, I'll bring them with. I guess in this case, only if it's a GM 3400, so it's kind of rare, but like the Grand National and a bunch of other cars that I work on, LS cars that have a lot of the same parts, I save a lot of those parts even though I replace them on the car. So you never know, you never know. That's why my storage looks like that. I just need more storage, that's it. Next up, we have the actual lower intake manifold. It looks just like the one off my CL65, and it's got a very similar stamp. I think the same company made the intake. There we go. Next, for the intake manifold, we have about 50 of these, and they do have a little rubber grommet, but this does not seal anything. It doesn't seal vacuum or anything. So these look to be in good enough shape for what they need to do, which is really just to hold this funky intake manifold into place. They do a fine, fine job at that. So I'm gonna go around here. This is gonna be kind of a pain in the butt because some of them are difficult to get to. But you guys know that because you saw me getting them out. All right, guys, I've gotten all these in there, and most of them are torqued. I just got 2 left. Clickety-clack, 18 foot-pounds. All right. Intake's done. Next up, we have our new thermostat. Go in right there. It has the MB sunroof grease, of course, and then we can put this right over it. And it's got a bolt on this side, yet a stud on this side. Okay, tighten this guy up. All right, there we go. There's the bracket for the coolant tube right there. That's where this hose from the bottom of the plenum goes to. And I did replace the old one. It's just a little worn out. Now we are almost ready for the fuel rail with our brand new shiny looking fuel injectors, but I do want to swap out the fuel pressure regulator. This is the new one. There is a diaphragm inside. It's made of rubber. When those fail, you'll eventually get fuel getting sucked into the vacuum into the intake port on the engine, and it'll start to run really rich and really bad. So an easy way to tell is while the engine's running, just pull the vacuum source off and kind of use it to suck on this part right here. And if you see fuel dribbling out, it's bad. There should never be any fuel coming out of here. But this guy looks pretty easy to do. We have a couple 8s. And by a couple of 8s, I mean just one and a T30. There we go. You got Loctite on this thing? Weird. All right, so now this fuel line bracket should slide right off. Then we can kind of pry this old regulator out. It's got an O-ring that does not want to let go. Come on, buddy. There we go. Ah, more fuel. There we go. Get out. Get out. All right, so we're going to be replacing this O-ring and fuel all over the place. There's another O-ring in there. So because we're replacing the entire regulator, we get a new O-ring, and apparently this has a strainer and this doesn't. Well, that's interesting. Cool. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get the new one in. Oh, there we go. Just gotta know the right combo there. Just slide it in here. This is stationary. You can't remove it. And we push down. Perfect. Good seal there. And we have our T30. Now, the other seal could leak, but I inspected it and it doesn't seem hard. This has most likely been replaced. This was an area of concern on these. There we go. But we're gonna be good. And now we just have the fuel line retaining clip. Fits in like that. Our lone 8mm going in. And just like that, our new fuel pressure regulator is installed. We already have the injectors. Let's put this on an engine. Preferably a really cool GM 3400 engine with a lot of weird, unique stuff that I've never seen before, and that maybe you guys have never seen before either. And hold on, I'm doing this wrong. This goes underneath. Ah, we got a harness in the way. Okay, and these lined up perfectly. I'm like, why? Why isn't this working? Comment down below what in this video so far on this engine have you never seen before, and what are some of the things that I'd never seen before that you guys have encountered out there in the wild. There we go. Injectors are seated. We just have 4 8mm to tighten up for the rail, and only tighten these when you know that you've seated your injectors properly. You don't want to draw these in. And we'll give these little Alex torque, click, clack, cloak? Cloak? What's the name of that starship in Star Trek that can cloak? Is it the Ferengis? Those little buggers that would cloak all the time and the ship would become invisible, no one could see them, and then bam! Ferengis, right in your face. Like, hey, what's going on, guys? Probably gonna try and scam you out of something. They were sneaky, the Ferengi, they were. And it probably took an advanced alien civilization to come up with this engine right here. I don't believe GM did it on their own. Not sure if it was the Ferengi. Might have been like the Vulcan. You know, they were smart. They could have done this. Bam. All right, we now have electrons that could potentially flow to our injectors to make them function. And we'll clip in all the factory harness retention clips. Oh, beautiful. Before the valve covers go on, we need to install the spark plugs, but before that, we might as well look inside of here and take a look at the pistons. So you can see these would be special pistons for the 3, 4, and they have the cutouts for the valves. And man, the cross hatchings look perfect. This is like a brand new engine cylinder wall wise, and this is an iron block. This is in fantastic condition. Port injection, so the carbon buildup's not horrible, definitely some there. But you know we're gonna take care of that with some PI performance improver. I did already put some of this in there, but I wanna run 2 and really get those pistons clean. I usually just run 1 of these cans a year on all my other vehicles, but on the ones that have been sitting for a while, you wanna do a little extra cleaning, I'll run 2 for some extra concentration. Now we can go back together with our spark plugs. I did already replace these in the last video, but these have a tapered seat, so there's no crush washer. So just about an 1/8 turn on this and you're good, not even. So with the spark plug going in, we'll always start this by hand. And then with this thing seated, just about that. That's all you need. Very little torque, and it says that right on the NGK box. So we'll put the rest of these in and then valve covers. So if you guys were around for the reveal video, you know that the spark plugs we pulled out of here were very oily, and that's because these seals in the valve cover have failed. Although they look okay, they're probably just a little bit too flat. And we have brand new ones going in. What's nice is these get held in, so you can push them, they won't fall out. And then we can peel off the actual valve cover gasket. This was not leaking, but it comes in the set. Check it out, our new valve cover gaskets are blue. So these are gray, these are blue. Weird combo, but I'll take it. I like blue.
And just make sure the mating surface is clean, free of any oils and whatnot. That's super important with a rubber gasket, but just keeping stuff clean is always a good idea. No beautiful, nothing falls out. Should be good. Things that we housed in quite well. And then we go. Set bolts and 1 valve cover down.
Resealed valve cover number 2, the beauty cover, if you will. They painted this one. Oh, don't let that happen, guys. Don't Don't let your new gasket fall out. These stay nicely. These, on the other hand, not really. They give you this little thing right here. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't hold anything in.
You can use a little bit of RTV, but if it's an easy to get to valve cover gasket like this one, you can kind of just do it quick.
All right, if that happens, just put a couple little dabs RTV just all over the place. This isn't for sealing. This is just to hold it. We'll just take this off. And if you're wondering why I have such a gigantic blob here on my finger, it's because the back end blew out. It should hold a little bit better, hopefully.
Yes, it's working. Very little torque on these. And then we'll do our final tighten with a quarter drive. Once you feel these kind of bottom out, you're done. Very, very little torque.
Now, before the intake manifold goes on, make sure that you have your fuel pressure regulator vacuum line plugged in. And yeah, you do have to remove the upper plenum to replace this. Another reason why it's a good while you're in there. And then also we have a new O-ring here, which seats right here on the bottom of the plenum. And then the other hose clamp is on the metal tube, so that's why you don't see it there. This is ready to go on. Before the plenum goes on, we have a new gasket. Slides on there. Beautiful. I'm also going to replace the Schrader valve here for the fuel rail. This thing is bent, you can see here. It's not leaking, but you never know. I have a new Schrader valve right here, new seal and everything. And this is a Schrader valve tool. This will work on tire valves, fuel Schrader valves, AC valves. Very nice, has two ends. Just don't drop it going in, and then it'll thread. Very, very light torque. That's good. Don't strip out your fuel rail. All right, it is plenum time. Lots of stuff to not forget to connect, like our brake booster vacuum line. It goes on like that. And this has a clamp, just like that. Get out of my way, vacuum stuff. And there's a couple studs back here that you guys can't see. I'm one of them. Then we have this new coolant tube that needs to slide over the pipe before we can go down. There we go. Now we just have our intake bolts. These are torqued to 18 foot-pounds. And there's a total of 7 bolts, and then there are 2 studs that you put nuts on in the back. Well, here's a part that I wish I replaced when I had this all taken apart. It's this guy here. Yeah, it's just kind of crusty. And they sell a new one at the parts store for a few bucks, and it has all new seals and a new clip and everything. So yeah, this looks better. And I cleaned out the threads in the intake manifold as well. So this should go in nice and nice. It's going, there we go. And now we can just tighten it up with a 28 millimeter, I think is what I'm using. It's pretty big. Oh, it's a 27. Or like a 1 1/4? What's a 27? I don't know. Click. All right, let's get some spark plug wires in. It looks impossible, but it's not. Never mind, it's impossible. Just kidding. They go in like that. When I first got this car, I was like, do you have to take the plenum off to replace the spark plugs in the back? That's weird, but you don't. You just gotta finagle. There we go. Whew. Gotta have the Oldsmobile touch. It's time to say goodbye to our new timing belt with a beautiful, beautiful timing belt cover. Look at that sticker. Look at it. All right, guys, I pulled out this coolant tube. It looks a little crusty. This is kind of just like a spacer, but the O-ring on here was in bad shape, so let's clean this up. It's much better. Now we can snap this new tube in. There we go. Nice new seal. Bam. And our fuel lines, they clip right in. Perfect. And this coolant pipe goes right here. We're gonna get our factory clamp exactly where it was in 1991. Bam. I mean, it was probably built in 91. This is a 92 model year. It's EGR time, and we have 2 gaskets. I already put one on the bottom, and then this one goes right here. Then our EGR valve can plop right on, like that. Okay, I don't know the torque spec for these. We're doing 18 though. Now we have our cool little alien plug right on top. Perfect, just like factory. This has the throttle cable that goes in like that, and then it has another one for the cruise. Okay, throttle's good. We got our new serpentine belt going in thanks to this sticker. I don't have to look anything up on the internet. They didn't have the internet back then. It was 92. What was the first year of the internet? It had to have been around that time, right? Like, just like not where actual real people had it, but where they started to invent it. Then it became self-aware, Cyberdyne style. We're underneath the water pump, over the power steering, then the alternator, and then we go down to our brand new tensioner. All right, I pulled it off the power steering pump, and now we're gonna release the tension, put it on the power steering pump, and make sure everything is lined up. We're good. And you know I gotta have the belt writing and the part number and all of that facing forward. All right, we got an intake boot going on. Plug this in. I'm just gonna loosely fit this stuff just to get this running because we have some R12 to R134 AC work to do in here, but I wanna make sure it's running first. And we got our cold air induction from the front here. Grabs all the cold air. Needs that. There's that. Plug in our intake air temp sensor there. We got that there. Okay. This is good enough to run. Oh, let's get some coolant in here. All right, world's largest engine coolant reservoir going in. I gotta say, it covers everything up nicely though. It looks prim and proper. New green coolant going in, keeping it all green. There are universal ones that are different colors, but I want the green, even though you literally can't see it at all. I love that sound. While our coolant is going in, we gotta get our little engine cover on. The world must know we have a twin dual cam V6. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited to see how quiet this engine is with the new fuel injectors, because I think it was a very quiet running car to begin with, and it had those super loud injectors. All right, we primed the fuel system a few times, so now we can start it up. There it is. All right. Had a little roar right when it kicked on there, but the lifter's probably bled down a little bit. Smooth though, very smooth. Oh, she runs good. So they give you a couple ports to bleed the coolant. One of them's right here. This is the highest spot, so right now air is just coming out. Oh, there we go. All right, close it up. As soon as you see any coolant there, you can close that. And they give you another one up here. This is even higher. Of course, it's shooting out that way. All right, we're good, we're good. All right, coolant is all bled out. Throttle response is amazing. This thing sounds so good. Oh man, I love it. And so this is what the engine sounded like before with the old injectors. And this is what it sounds like now. No more ticking, nothing. It's beautiful, smooth as glass. Hang on, we gotta put the LSC mug on here. It's the LSC mug test. Yep, she's good. It's my Oldsmobile, people. Now, we need to get the AC to work. So let's shut this engine down, and we're gonna convert it from R12 to R134. And so if you guys have an older car like this, you could do this. It's like real easy. If you guys are curious on what you do with this little contraption, if it's full, after your car's full, you stick this plug in there. We're gonna lose a little, but we need to fill up the expansion tank here, or reservoir, whatever you want to call it. So we'll pull the plug and drain our nice green coolant in. Oh my gosh, it's like coincidentally at a pretty good level. Wow, it's perfect. Ha, there's like a hotline, it's right below that. Perfect. I saw this new radiator cap with this writing and just everything is perfect. Looks very period correct. I had to get it. It's good to replace your radiator cap anyway. Oh yeah, stickers. Stickers, stickers, more stickers. This is gonna go. This is aftermarket. In the detail video, we're getting rid of this. Looks so bad. All right, just remove the air box again. What we have here is the receiver dryer, which we're gonna swap out. You don't need to do that for the conversion, but it's old. But here's what you need to worry about, which are the fittings. So these are old 112 fittings. They're threaded. There's one here, and there's one down there. And they sell retrofit kits, and all this is gonna do is allow a 134A machine to fit on. And they simply just screw on like that for the conversion. So that's easy, except that one there is not in a good spot. We might have to use a 90-degree one like that, but I've already loosened this up. I wanna pull this out and at least replace the O-ring first. It's pretty flat. All right, let's swap this O-ring out, and we have a new green AC O-ring for it. And then this guy is going right back in. And what's weird with these is that I couldn't find a socket to fit over them. They're not very tight, so I had to use an adjustable wrench. That's it. That's good. So with the factory fitting back on, we can install our adapter, and we'll tighten this up. Very little torque. It's an aluminum line. That's good. Then we have these gigantic AC lines that go into the receiver dryer, and they are threaded out nicely. I can get them by hand. That's great. All right, there's that. Okay, cool. Then we just have a couple of bolts that hold in this entire bracket. I think then we'll be able to pull this out. It's kind of stuck there right now. All right, wiggle that out. There we go. Okay, whew, there we go, got it. All right, so the receiver dryer technically should be replaced anytime you open up the AC system. Most people don't actually do that, but on an older car that's had a system with no refrigerant in it for so long, you wanna replace this. This is basically like the filter. Is there any oil left in this? No, okay. So I wasn't able to find a direct replacement receiver dryer, but we found a universal. This is kind of cool. This spins. It's kind of crazy that seals, but I guess it does. And then you have a lot of different low sides, so options to install your new fitting. And we're gonna pick this one here. So we have to pull the Schrader valve out, and then we have our new fitting to adapt it to the R134 connectors that has its own Schrader valve. So then we just screw this guy on. Hang on, you know I can't put this back together. You can see this top part with the air box out. I took it to the wire wheel, buzzed it down a little bit, and we're just gonna get some black spray paint on this thing. Make it look pretty again. There we go. Look at that. Bracket's all dry, freshly restored. And now we can slide in our new receiver dryer, restored clamp as well, and unrestored bolt. Kind of forgot about that. This isn't exactly the same size, it's a little loose. So let's take it apart. And right on the weld is about where that clamp goes. We're gonna install some foam. This will be a nice little isolator. Okay, peel off the tape. Now, let's try this again. Slide it in. Definitely a tight fit, that's good. This foam is very thick. It's a good thing though. All right, now we'll push this down. That is nice. Oh, this thing is solid. This is how it should have been with this nice foam. It's like a seal. It's very GM-like. I installed 2 new seals for these lines, and now we can drop this guy back in. This thing is a bear to fit back in, that's for sure. Oh, nice. I've gotten the bracket down nice and tight, and these are threaded in. Click. With the rubber O-ring, you don't need to torque it down much. That's good. All right, we got our fittings on. In the end, I had to use a 90-degree fitting down there because we couldn't fit the service ports for the machine in, so that's there. All right, let's hit this thing with a vacuum. And we'll watch it go negative. Hope that it stays there. All right, vacuum thing is beeping at me. Look at that, guys. We are holding solid. This thing is good. I expected nothing less. Now, luckily, as you guys know, this car has a million stickers that basically tells you everything. I'm actually surprised there isn't like a story about the car in sticker form here, but this is what we need right now. 2.25 pounds of R12, but there is a conversion for R134, which is 1.775 in this case. First, we have to add some oil. I'm gonna do 3 ounces. Going in, and I always use the oil with the dye just in case there's a leak. Perfect. Recharge. Oh my gosh, I had it at 1.75. That's pretty good. We'll go 1.80. Drink it in, drink it in. Anything leaking out? So far, so good. You guys see anything? I don't see anything. Wait, do I see something? Oh, I see a really shiny, sweet receiver dryer bracket. That's all I see. And she's going up. Cool. All right, let's test out this AC. I heard the AC compressor kick on, so that's good. Oh! It's getting cold. Oh man, this blower motor's awesome. I got it on max right now, and it's got automatic climate control. So cool. Yeah, we got AC, guys. This is fantastic. And we have these vents here. I mean, it is a beautiful place to be. This thing blows so strong. The passenger's just a lucky person to be riding shotgun in this thing. These engine fans are so strong. Oh, there's only one on right now. Doesn't even need the other one yet. Cool. All right, while this is warming up and cooling down, I just want to let it run before we go on a nice little drive. I got to see if the retractable light can be fixed. And it's like the bulb is rattling around. It's just a screw. I wonder what kind of bulb they use. So it's 1 screw, and let's see what's inside. Oh, okay, well, there's the bulb. And is this thing even bad? I don't even think that filament is bad. I've never seen a bulb like this before. What is it, just like latch on there and then, oh, look at that. Oh, it works. It just like fell off. We just need to like slip it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no way. It's fixed. Man, I could have used this when I was like working on the engine. This is fantastic. Imagine an LED in here. It's just, I don't know if I'm gonna do that though. It wouldn't be proper, but wow, this is great. Look at this old school light. This is perfect. You can see all the millions of vacuum lines and connectors. Wow. I can't wait to try this at night. Let's roll this bad boy back in. That's gotta be my favorite part. I love air conditioning. This is so nice. It's still summer. All right, we're gonna go for a ride. Oh, but you know what? We never found the 10 mil. We gotta find that. Get out. Oh, it was on the frame. I found the 10. All right, it is time. God, this thing runs so good with the new injectors and everything resealed. This is perfect. This is my setup right now. I got the GN right next to it. Let's go. Hey, let's roll up the windows now that we have AC. Would you guys get these windows tinted? Like, I don't know. I kind of want to just leave the car like 100% original in stock, so I might leave it. Plus, when you peek in here, you get to see this awesome interior. So, I don't know. All right, guys, just drove around a little bit to warm the engine up. This car is just too good. A little love. It's not fast, it's not, but it's enjoyable. And it handles pretty well, especially for, I think, having all of the original suspension, probably. It's gotta be pretty old, even if they did replace it at some point. But it's a beautiful cruiser, guys. All I wanna do is road trip this car. I just wanna drive and just continue driving until Well, I can't drive anymore. Okay, that's dangerous. I'd stop before that, you know? This trans, though, is so nice. Buttery smooth. Every gear, no grinding. Do you guys ever see that meme or whatever of that bus driver who's just like graciously shifting? That's what you can do in this. Graciously shift. Okay, the brakes though, the brakes are not the best, which is something we're gonna take care of in the next video because we have a race. We have a race in the next video against some 80s and I think 90s, maybe, muscle cars that should beat this, but might not because this thing was fast for the time. It's not really fast anymore, but it's got like, it feels like VTEC is kicking in the upper RPM. It's not bad. And I think I'll be able to launch it pretty well. It's very manageable off the line, but we gotta do brakes, a bunch of other stuff in that video, including a full cosmetic restoration on the exterior. This beautiful teal will get even more beautiful. That's not a word. Don't teach your kids beautiful. I'm even trying to get an old timer to the shop that'll redo the original pinstriping. I have so many little things for that video to just make this thing look brand spanking new. Coming around a turn here. Oh yeah. Woo! This thing is so cool. I love it. Man, the engine stays cool. No noises. It's whisper quiet. Oh, this is beautiful. Good oil pressure, good AC, comfy seats. Man, if I wasn't gonna like immediately start this whole detail thing for the next episode, I would totally drive this home. You know what? I think I need to drive this home anyway. Tomorrow's a new day. I had to stop back at the shop to get the iPass. And these were already on there, so I guess in New Jersey, you guys have this too? Oh, check it out, there's no cup holders, but my LegitStreetCars mug fits like pretty nicely right here. It's totally not gonna fall. And I'm not a psychopath, the water pump is there, it's not hanging from the mirror. I'm just gonna keep it with me in the car at all times, all right? I'm not a weirdo. All right, so taking it home, getting on the highway. Woo! Shifting with my left hand there, so not the fastest. We are cruising in fourth right now. Yeah, the brake light is stuck on. The fluid level's good. Something we'll have to fix in the next video. We're gonna be tackling the brakes. Let's get into fifth gear. All right, there we go. There is fifth and final gear, 60 miles an hour, about 2,200 RPM. Not bad. All right, guys, on my way home, I had to turn the heat up, or you know, the temperature up to about 72. It's too cold, it's freezing in here. So with the 134, it's still kicking. Some people say 112 is a lot colder. I don't remember from personal experience if I've ever even been in a car that still has functioning R112. Let me know in the comments, is R12 really much cooler? I don't know. But anyway, this is a beautiful, beautiful car. And it feels exactly like you think an Oldsmobile should feel, just floating down the road. The ride is fantastic. It still handles okay. This was a, you know, performance handling type of vehicle, but it still retains all of its Oldsmobile, you know, Cadillac type of floatiness. Just glides over bumps. You don't feel anything. Aside from the steering wheel being a little bit off, the alignment is perfect. And I have brand new tires waiting at the shop. We're gonna be taking the wheels off in the next video to have those powder coated and the faces machined just like factory. And we're gonna buff out this beautiful paint so it's gonna look even better than it does right now. Well, maybe not from far away, because just cruising down the road on a sunny day, this thing looks pretty darn good. But up close, it is very dirty. It has a lot of scratches. It's been sitting outside for years, and it just needs a little bit of a refresh. I know I spent a lot of time on the back seats in the reveal video. They look just phenomenal. They're super comfortable, but the front seats are more of the same. This is just so nice. You know, your arm sits perfectly on the door panel. The center console is so nice and cushy and in perfect condition. And we have buttons on the steering wheel to control not only the radio, but also the temperature. I mean, look at this. Going up, it's going up. We have fan, and we're going up with the fan. Look at that. Like literally, there's nothing in here that doesn't work. Every single thing, the radio, the speakers all work, the CD player. I wish there wasn't a such thing as copyright right now, because I throw a CD in there. And speaking of CDs, I really don't have that many. And I went to a thrift store with my son. I bought an Eagles CD. And guys, this was the coolest thing ever. I posted up on Instagram and Facebook at LegitStreetCars. But behind the counter for $9.95 was an original Space Jam's VHS, still sealed with this little commemorative coin thing. Me and my son were just geeking out over all sorts of old, you know, stuff that they had in there. And I was like, let's look this up on eBay. And I did, and the first thing that pops up is a $2,500 one. And at this point, I didn't actually know the price. I asked the lady behind the counter, because this was kind of like in a roped off section. And I'm like, oh, they probably want a lot. $9.95, $9.99, whatever. So I buy it. I mean, we are on cloud 9, freaking out. I'm telling my son while we're waiting in line, like, shh, don't say anything because he's freaking out. He's like, we're gonna make like 2,500 bucks. I'm like, shh, don't tell anybody. We're gonna get beaten up here in line, like, hang on. And we get out of the store, we get in the car, and I look it up, and I messed up. The ones with the coins are apparently common, and the ones without the coins are really rare and worth a lot of money. So this thing was still worth like maybe 30 bucks, so we made a little bit of a profit, but yeah, honestly, it was worth so much more just in that experience for that 15 minutes in the store of us just flipping out over this thing. It was awesome. I highly recommend you guys go to thrift stores. You never know what you're gonna find. I just went and got gas. I don't know what this takes, but I just put 93 in it. First time filling her up. Oh, I just started it up. Look at how slow the gas gauge moves. That's kind of weird. I put a whole new sender in there, so it should work. It's getting there, just really slow. This guy in a silver minivan next to me just gave me one of these. Like, you know, the head nod. All right, we made it, full tank. This takes about 2 full minutes for it to rise up. All right, I made it home, supercharged Escalade in the driveway. Just hit like 105,000 miles on that bad boy, like 25,000 miles with the blower, and it's perfect. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I lowered this thing, but check out these weld wheels that I saw in another white Escalade. Do you think that would look cool on an ESV? Should I surprise my wife with those? I kind of want them. Everything's looking good. The light's working, that's the most important part. Runs good, no burning, no nothing. We just have condensation on the AC lines, which is a good thing. Oh man, this is great. All right guys, it's getting to be nighttime.
Full of glass.
Isn't that nice? What do you think?
Cool.
Oh, there it is, heads up display. It's right there. It's right there. See? Oh, you're messing with me.
I literally, oh, now I see it.
Yeah.
I just,
First generation, baby.
that's cool.
We're gonna go for a little cruise, and then I'm taking this back to the shop tomorrow
man.
in the morning. Sorry.
No, I want this car to stay with us.
After the detail.
No!
I just got home at the Oldsmobile. We are going to have some dinner. Let me lock this thing up. Oh, okay. I guess the battery's dead. It worked when I first got it, but it just decided to die. Let's try the other one. I got like 800 keys. No. All right, something else to add on the list. All right, it's the next morning. The Oldsmobile is all dewy. Let's get a cold start. Oh yeah, needs new wiper blades. That's part of the detail video. This one's not even the right one. Look at that. Not very loud at all. Cold start kind of means nothing. This is basically the perfect daily driver. All right, guys, I made it back to legit street quarters. This thing is perfect outside of brakes and tires and a few other mechanical things we need to do. And then a full exterior cosmetic restoration, new pinstripings and all. And then in the next episode, we are racing a couple of 80s and 90s classics. So I hope you guys tune in for that. And I hope you really enjoyed this episode on my International Edition Cutlass Supreme. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up, share the video with your friends and family, subscribe. If for some reason you haven't already, it's free. It's a little button down there. It's really easy and it really helps me out. But most importantly, have a fantastic day. I'll see all of you in the next video. Ah! Can't wait to use this thing. Let's just do it. Oh, it's gonna be so clean. All right, guys, here's our first look. All right, guys, here's our first look at the insanity of... All right, guys, here's our first look at the insanity. Is this a separate... Wait a minute, is this is a separate... This is a separate piece. So we just removed like the upper... There we go. So you can see here, you can see on the balancer that line there, and there's a line on the balancer and it lines up with a arrow. All right, guys, so one thing you want to make sure of is that you have one thing you want to make sure of before you, and I still have to dry this out. And now it looked movie magic. I can't move. I'm a real boy. Stay still, Alex. Okay, ready?
And poof.
Did I do this right at all? I don't know. wasn't paying attention at all. All right, new fuel pressure regulator installed, new injectors. All right, just like that, our new, dude, this guy in this minivan next to me, he just gave me one of these. If you guys have watched the entire video, you deserve an explanation on how I did the movie magic with the water pumps, because I know it looked like almost too real, you know? I don't want anyone to be confused and think that water pumps can actually float and talk. So I put my chair here and I put the tripod there, and we used some mechanics wire that actually disappears pretty well from far away, you know? It's not there at all. And that's about it. Then we had Max over there reading me my lines that I wrote out before I did the voiceover. And then I did not hire a professional voice actor. That's actually me doing that, so. Anyway, now you guys know.